Quiet in the studio. Network transmission in 5, 4, 3.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness. Looking back at events making the headlines in the last week. Coming up, a story of triumph and tragedy, but in which order? We look back at the strange events that took place in the city over this last Passover festival. Who could have predicted the events that unfolded, and who would have guessed the outcome? Eyewitness was there. Dramatic scenes unfolding today at the main gate of the city, where a crowd of supporters are gathered to greet the man they call the Nazarene. Over to our reporter on the spot for Eyewitness. So tell me, Nicola, what's going on?
You join me here at the gate, but as you can see, I'm surrounded by a very excited crowd that's hoping to get a glimpse of possibly even a photo of the man they regard as their rightful king, the man that they're referring to as the Nazarene. I can see if I can talk to some of the crowd. Excuse me, can I ask you, why do you think you come down here today?
Oh, it's this guy Jesus. He's just coming in town today. Oh, I've been waiting ages to see him.
Why do you think he's made such an impact?
I mean, you heard about all the miracles that he's performed everywhere, and he's coming here today. We're going to meet him.
I don't know if you can see, but just to the left of me, we have one of the high priests who's remonstrating with the Roman authorities to try and keep this crowd in order. I'll see if I can grab a few words. I'll just ask you, what do you make of this gathering?
Well, it is clear to me that this crowd is seriously mistaken. This man claims to be a king, and what how can he be? He's not one of our brethren, and so his claims must clearly be false.
Clearly the crowd don't agree with you.
The crowd are mere peasants. What would they know of such things? No, it is we, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who alone can decide on such matters. We have long had authority on such issues. And then there comes this man who claims to be a king. I think he wants nothing more than to incite rebellion against us and create disquiet, possibly even violence.
Well,
And mark my words, no good will come of all this. These peasants will soon realise that this Nazarene is just a man.
Hang on, who are you calling peasants? Yeah. We've got as much right to be here as anyone else. We pay our taxes.
How dare you address me in such a fashion? Do you not know who I am? You people, you and your sword, you're just easily dead. Like a sheep, you don't know what you're talking about. All this singing and dancing will get you nowhere other than possibly arrested. Do you wish to annoy our Roman protectors? Now, if you want to advise, I suggest that you remember your places and keep quiet.
Keep quiet, he says. We've got to keep quiet.
But if we were
puts it, deals with this situation. But one thing in this is clear though, and that is that this man, this Jesus of Nazareth, is going to stir things up big time in this city of ours. Back to you in the studio.
That was our roving reporter down at the city gate to witness for us a welcome laid out for the man that crowd refer to as Jesus the Saviour. Well, after such a triumphal entrance, many wondered where Jesus would appear next and what he might do. Naturally, he was the talk of the town, and everyone was clamouring for that elusive interview opportunity. Media coverage was at a frenzy. This story was never far from the headlines. But another one, which was to prove of significance later, slipped out with only a few lines. That was the capture of the notorious Barabbas. The authorities had been searching for this man for many months, and many crimes had been laid at his door. Now it was announced he was finally in captivity, and it seemed his fate would be quickly sealed. And yet, this went almost unnoticed in a week of major headlines. Witness this, an extract from the popular daytime show, Have Your Shout with Hamm Clean.
And now it's time for Mudge's edition of Have Your Shout. And please welcome live on stage your host of today's show, as always, the one, the only, Karen Clean.
Karen.
She may.
If this man is a king, as he claimed, would he have entered the city in the manner that he did, riding on a donkey? Is that any way for a king to enter his kingdom? And when he arrived, did he seek us out, present himself to us? No, he did not.
What did he do?
He went skulking off somewhere in the city and has not been seen since. No, I think we can safely say that this Jesus will be nothing more than a flash in the pan.
How do you mean?
I would have thought that were obvious, really. In a couple of weeks, people would have stopped talking about this Jesus of Nazareth. He will have become yesterday's news.
I don't think that's quite right. I'm sure he'll be around for some time yet.
Yeah, what makes you so sure of that, my dear?
Well, because he has a message for us all. One which you and the likes of you are incapable of hearing.
I can assure you I have perfect hearing.
I don't think that's quite what she meant.
I
She said
know
that-
exactly what she meant. They talk of messages and of proof. But where is the proof? Please tell me that this man is a king. True, he is born of the house of David. But then there are many thousands of people who are born of the house of David, and yet they're not all running around claiming to be a king, now are they?
Now, Jesus never claimed to be a king. It's you that keeps using that word.
Oh, I see, it is I interrupted. Oh, so therefore I was mistaken, was I, yesterday when I heard the crowd singing? Let me see if I can remember the precise words. Oh yes, sing praises to, what was the word? Oh yes, king. And they talk of the performing of miracles. Miracles? Well, where is the proof of that as well, may I ask?
Well, perhaps we can move on to that subject, eh? Esther, I believe you say you have witnessed a miracle.
Yes, that's right.
Well, perhaps you could tell us all about that, love.
Well, I can only tell you what I saw and heard.
That's what this show's all about, Esther, love. No need to worry about that. Now, it was at a wedding, I understand.
Yes, that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Esther's story.
Well, we're all at this wedding in Cana in Galilee, and well, it was a lovely affair. I mean, the bride, she looked beautiful, and the feast was fantastic, but, well, it was a shame about the wine, really.
How do you mean?
Well, don't get me wrong, it was very nice, but there just didn't seem to be much of it.
We've all been there.
You know, at the usual times of these events, what happens is they normally serve the good wine first, just till it gets a little bit merry, and then they bring out the poorer quality wine. Well, I can see that the father-in-law, well, he was a big chap, and
There is going to be a point to this story, is there? Only I am rather a busy man.
Be quiet.
Esther's time to tell her story, okay? Now you carry on, Esther.
well, as I was saying, the father-in-law, he was a big chap, and you could tell he liked his wine, and he kept knocking it back and calling for more, but, well, the servants were slow to top the wine up, and he was sort of raising his eyebrows in a querying manner to the groom, and who was by this point looking increasingly worried about the shortage of wine. Well, I was sitting quite near, and I could see this bloke called Jesus. Well, I knew that that was his name because I'd been talking to some of his friends outside, and they said that he was called Jesus, that they were on some sort of a mission, but, well, I didn't really understand at the time. Well, anyway, I saw his mum tugging on his sleeve. You could tell it was his mum. But Jesus, well, he didn't seem to be interested. He didn't seem to want to do anything. But by this time, they'd really tweaked my interest, so I was listening to the conversation, and I heard Jesus call to the servants. And they came over, and he said, "Go draw some water from the stone jars and take it to the top table." Well, these servants replied, "Sir, this water is fit for only washing feet. It cannot be served at the top table." Then Jesus just said these words. He said, "Trust in me and do as I say." Well, the servants, they took the water to the top table and they served the father-in-law first. And, well, what I saw now was, I swear it's true because I saw it with my own eyes and I heard it with my own ears. The father-in-law, he took a swig and he said, "My son, you have done me proud. Most would serve the best wine first, but you serve the best wine last." Well, he turned water into wine.
I wish I had that
wine I'd ever tasted, but I wasn't drunk or anything. I was just happy to be part of this magical experience. And I thought to myself, if this man, Jesus, can do this, can turn water into wine, then I must be with him. And I've travelled with him for some time now, and I've seen him do things that far exceed that.
Well, how do you react to that?
It's clearly some kind of a trick, played by some accomplished performer to persuade people who are already half drunk that they were drinking wine, but in fact they're only drinking ordinary water. I wouldn't have thought anything at all.
And how might such a trick be played then?
Well, I don't know the precise details, of course. Kind of massive noses or hallucination. As I say, some kind of trick. The kind that you see performed down by the temple at any day of the week.
By the priests, you mean?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean by the so-called performance artists who ply their trade in the temple precincts where the storeholders of money changers are.
So, you say it was just a trick, do you?
Yes, I do.
That Jesus didn't turn water into wine? Well, let's put that to you, our audience, shall we? Come on, what do you think? Do you think it was a miracle? Come on, tell me.
A miracle!
Well, we have seemed to reach quite a decision over that, haven't we? And now, we turn to perhaps more proof that Jesus is the chosen one. Or maybe further evidence of mass delusion. Well, Martyn, that's the time for your story now, love.
Oh, it's not a story. Every word of it's true, I swear.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Martha's story now.
Well, Jesus has been a friend of the family for many years now, and he was especially good friends with my brother Lazarus. They used to sit and chat for hours and really put the world to rights. And that was why I was so desperate to contact Jesus when Lazarus fell ill. I was sure he'd want to be there for him. So I contacted him, but he never came. I called several times, but he never came.
Well, the officer will be turning some more water into wine, I would imagine.
Hey, and calm down, you. Martha's story now. You carry on, Martha.
Well, I was quite angry, to be honest. I was sure he'd want to be there, but he never came. Anyway, as the days went on, Lazarus got weaker and weaker, and eventually he slipped into a coma. I feared that if Jesus did make it, he'd be too late. And then the day that we'd all been dreading finally arrived. Lazarus passed away. We were devastated, obviously. We grieved for him and we buried him the next day. And then, 4 days ago, who should show up but Jesus? Well, I wasn't very pleased to see him. I was angry at him. But I could see he was upset, so I didn't say it. He asked me to take him to the tomb where Lazarus lay, which I did so he could pay his last respects. And when we got there, he asked me to roll the tombstone away. Well, I couldn't see that that was very appropriate. I mean, Lazarus had been lying there for days, and what with the heat, it just didn't seem right. But Jesus said to me, Martha, trust in me, and Lazarus will live again. Well, I was sure it was the Greek speaking. I mean, what kind of an idea is that? But I've always trusted him, so I did as he said. And by this time, we've got quite a crowd around us, and some of them helped me roll the tombstone away. And after we had, Jesus stood at the opening, and he just said, Lazarus, come on out. Nothing happened as I'd expected. But he said it again, a little bit louder. Lazarus, come on out. Well, I kept looking. My heart was really pounding. But he didn't come out. I was sure Jesus would give up by this time, but he didn't. He said again, in a quieter voice, Lazarus, we're all waiting for you. Come on out. And I can't tell you how it happened or why it happened, but my brother, who had been lying dead for days, he walked out of the tomb. Well, publicity has just got too much, to be honest, so we had to move away. But I really wanted to do this show because I wanted to assure people that Jesus really is who people say he is.
Oh, we thank you for that, Martha.
Your story smacks of nothing but sensationalism. Shows like this are built around stories People want to come on and get their 15 minutes of fame so they can concoct some preposterous story to get some precious airtime. It happens all the time.
Sounds like a bit like you.
I'm afraid your story doesn't wash with me, and neither will it with any right-minded thinking people. Perhaps only the slack-minded individuals who tune into this kind of show. I can't imagine anybody else would.
Like I told you, I don't know how it happened and I don't know why it happened.
Clearly.
But it happened. I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 4 days ago and my
One such proponent of the Jesus party was Simon. Witness this interview from Tuesday's political interview, Talking Politics. It gives ordinary members of the public a chance to record their own views views on a subject that's currently in the public eye. Now, not all the contributors want to be, they prefer to remain anonymous, and this particular individual is no exception to that. Now, and so he is perfectly entitled to be so. All we do know about this gentleman is that he claims to be one of Jesus' inner circle. So I'll leave you with this item and wish you all a very good night.
I need to make clear that I'm a great supporter of Jesus. I think his teachings are profound and different to anything which has gone before. I've been with him now for 3 years and heard him preach, and although some of what he says is a little too deep and meaningful for me to grasp, the people, well, they love him. They love his message. It's almost unnatural. I mean, should a person really be this popular? I can see why that is, but he has such charisma, such authority to him, such assurity. But those are the qualities why the leaders hate him. They hate that connection that he has with those things with the people. And, well, another sort of connection he has is he's able to take on the burdens of mankind onto his shoulder. He has this ability to see through their exterior what they portray, see the good and the bad. And he doesn't ignore the bad, but he concentrates on the good. And he touches me. And that frightens me. I don't know how he does it. He says it's down to his father. What I do know is that he has this ability to rub people up the wrong way. He's not stupid. Once he's got an idea in his head, he'll just say it and do whatever he wants, irrespective of the consequences. He doesn't think of me or the other supporters, the other trouble it causes us all. And, well, I suppose if I wasn't outsider, I might see him as a bit wrapped up in his own message, or a troublemaker, or a zealot even, but he's not. He's not like that. It's just, I can't explain why not. There's some way out around these problems. There is. Meeting. Jesus called a meeting. A meeting of the leaders. They can sit down and exchange views, find common ground. Not like interrogation, just talking and chatting and
you join me in the outer courtyard of the great temple on what should be a normal Wednesday morning. However, today is far from normal. Jesus and his party arrived a short time ago. At first all was peaceful, and then suddenly, according to witnesses, trouble broke out between Jesus and some of the temple traders. Apparently, Jesus began to move amongst the traders, overturn the tables, spilling the contents to the ground, and shouting and screaming at people. He could not be restrained and was continuing to cause mayhem amongst those in the inner courtyard. Let's just see if we can get some more information from these witnesses. Excuse me, what did you say?
Yeah, it was just an ordinary day, minding our own business, earning a living, and all this nonsense carries on, and noise and commotion behind us.
Well, what exactly happened?
Well, it was a good day started off. I thought I'll get myself some more stock in. I thought, before I know, I hear all this noise behind. I look down in this door, and there's Manny and this Jesus arguing together.
Who's Manny?
Oh, Manny the money changer. On the account he changes the ordinary money into the holy money for the temple. And they were going at it hammer tongs.
And what were they arguing about?
Well, Jesus said he shouldn't charge the change of money. And Manny said, well, how am I supposed to earn a living? And Jesus said, but it's wrong. And before we know it, he'd thrown over the tables, money everywhere, absolute commotion, nonsense. It was terrible. It was
That's not all. Some people, they started picking up Manny's money, didn't they? They didn't give it back to him. They kept it for themselves.
And before we know it, all hell break loose. Some people, they let out all the sheep and the goats for sacrifice, and then the ducks, the bears, ducks, my ducks, the best stuff in the temple, and now they're all puffed up and agitated. How am I supposed to make it?
Right, it was a nice point, as my friend here said, and then Jesus and these oppos turn up, and next thing you've got tables turning over, you've got doves and livestock all over the place, money thrown all over the floor. There's bedlam in there at the moment, someone's going to get hurt.
Well, that's the very latest, and if we just pan the camera around, you can perhaps see a group of individuals who recently come out from the inner courtyard. And this group of individuals are supporters of Jesus, and let's see if we can catch a word with them. Excuse me, what do you make of the situation?
Well, unfortunately, if not inevitable.
Why inevitable?
Well, we asked them politely to stop trading, but they refused. They said it was their right to trade in the temple and couldn't see any reason why they had to stop.
Well, why do you and Jesus want them to stop?
Because it's wrong. The temple should be a quiet place, somewhere where anyone can come along and pray and be close to God. But if they deal with the traders and the stench of the livestock, how's anybody supposed to do that?
Yes, who are you to tell us what we can and can't do?
What Jesus is saying is that a temple should be a quiet, reflective place where anyone can come and pray. That's all.
It still is.
Yeah, anyone can come to pray, can't they?
No, they can't because you're putting barriers down
Of
there.
course.
Barriers, like insisting that they change their money into holy money. What's that about?
All we're trying to do is make a living.
Unnecessary. God doesn't care what kind of money we use. It's just an excuse for you money changers to have led to the exchange rate.
Offering a service.
Some poor guy comes along to pray to be close to God and brings with him a pigeon as his offering. And what do? Oh no, you can't offer that mangy pigeon. Here, buy this beautiful dove off me. And it's wrong.
Yeah, but look, everybody's happy. I take the mangy pigeon off them. I give them the most beautiful, wonderful doves in the temple. So what's the problem?
The problem is that firstly you charge him 10 shekels for the pigeon, and you knew he couldn't afford it in the first place, and yet you still sell it to him, and then you give him a measly 2 shekels for the pigeon, and it's wrong. It's unnecessary.
Oh, it's not unnecessary. A business is business.
You say no, you sell the pigeons for 8 shekels to the next poor fool that comes along, and it's because Jesus says you cannot make sacrifices such as this.
Hold on. I've traded here for years. My family for generations. But you stand there, you tell me that's wrong.
Yes!
Well, I'll tell you what, you should be able to go at him as well. I'll tell you what, he takes commission on everything we pay. We pay licenses to him. What's he got to say about it?
This is indeed true. It's a long-established tradition that tithes to God must only be paid with purified money.
And who made that rule, God or man?
Well, seeing as you asked the question.
And when the temple was
rebuilt, was it rebuilt as a place of worship or as a cattle market?
Naturally, as a place of worship, my good woman.
Then, my good man, why all the animals and sacrifices for sale? You're making a business out of it.
Oh, it's not a business. Think of it more that we are providing a very valuable service.
Substance. If it smells of money, then it's likely to be a money-making business. If it smells of cattle, it's likely to be a cattle market. And this place smells of both money and cattle.
Yes, you may have some points to make, but this is not the way to make them. Now we have an established order around here, and we have to think of our Roman protectors and their opinions of us.
Oh, so what you're really saying is don't rock the boat.
Well, that could be one way of saying it.
You're quite happy to go around making your little deals. As long as we behave ourselves, the Romans will turn a blind eye to what's going on.
What you fail to realise is that we have a very delicate balance to maintain here. It's not like out in the provinces. In Jerusalem, the Romans are here amongst us, so we have to be much more careful about what we say and what we do.
In other words, don't rock the boat.
Compared with other people in the Roman Empire, we are rather more fortunate than most. We have not been forced to adopt their religions, worship their gods. We are very much left to our own devices, as long as we don't cause trouble and our little deals, as you so laughingly call them, have been going on for generations. Now what you and Jesus are doing is wrong, and it's also dangerous. To say that the way these good people and generations of their forefathers before them have conducted their relationship with God is wrong, to tell them that is wrong, that is dangerous. Dangerous because it strikes at the very heart of what we stand for and believe in. And dangerous because one of the very reasons why the Romans do leave us alone is precisely because we have a long established religious order that goes back generations. Now, if they begin to suspect that even one amongst us is calling this into question and creating disquiet, they may start to look at us rather more closely than we would like them to. I strongly advise that Jesus and his followers leave the temple, leave the temple, and return at a time when tempers have been cooled and order has been restored.
Oh, let's get on to
And, may I say, if I were you, I would have a word with this Jesus of yours. It's all very well him running around saying what he thinks, but just remember this. We are the established authority around here, have been for generations, and will be for many more generations to come. And Jesus does not want to get on the wrong side of us.
Is that correct?
Yes, this is he.
I'm calling about what happened from the temple today.
Yes, most unfortunate. However, sir, you should not be alarmed. It will not happen again. So if you'd like to return tomorrow, we can arrange for you to make your sacrifice.
No, you don't understand. I'm not complaining about it. I was there. I was one of them. I didn't do nothing myself, but I was with them.
I see. What do you want?
To talk.
About what?
Well, Jesus.
What about Jesus?
I think he's misunderstood. I think he's gone too far. I think he can't control it.
Control what?
Well, everything really. I think he's right, but he's doing it wrong. You see what I mean?
No, I don't think I do.
What I mean is, I believe in Jesus. I believe in what he's saying, and you would too if you sat down and listened to him. But what he's doing, the way it's been done, but you can't. You, automatically each of you, on opposite sides.
Go on.
What you need to do is sit down with you lot and talk it out. Check your differences and agree.
Agree what?
I don't know. I don't know if you met with him, sat with him, talked with him. You have a better idea of what's to be done.
Oh, I think I know what's to be done.
So you agree then?
Agree?
You should meet with him.
Is that what he wants?
Oh, yes, he wouldn't mind that. He trusts me.
I see. So, you can broker a deal, can you?
Deal? You mean with money?
If that's what it takes, and I'm sure that can be arranged. Look, I suggest that I speak with some of my colleagues and then get back to you to arrange a date and time for a meeting. What did you say your name was? I didn't catch it.
I did throw it, it doesn't matter. Get back to me on this number, we can arrange a meeting.
I see. Well, yes, I suppose that's possible. I'll get back to you, Mr.
That last piece was an intercepted mobile phone call recorded and released for broadcast by the authorities at the request of the High Priest, Caiaphas. We now turn to Thursday, and whilst many were preparing for the traditional Passover supper, others were busy with other matters. Whilst the day itself was quiet, it was obvious that moves were afoot with the authorities to bring Jesus to a halt. These items have been collected from the unfolding story of Thursday evening.
Join me now in the quiet of the Garden of Gethsemane. Quiet now, but earlier this evening there were dramatic scenes as the Sanhedrin authorities arrested Jesus. I'm joined by Malchus, head servant to the High Priest Caiaphas, who led the arrest party and was indeed even injured during the scuffle. Good evening, Malchus.
I am, as you say, Malchus, and I am, was, head servant for Caiaphas.
Did you say you were the head servant?
Oh yes, because I'm not sure if I want to do the job anymore.
Perhaps you could explain a little.
Well, I suppose it all started on Monday, when Jesus first came into town. Caiaphas was worried about what he'd been saying, so he asked me to go around, follow this Jesus around, see what he'd been saying, that kind of thing.
So you saw Jesus preaching around the city?
Yeah, I've been following him all week. And then today, Caiaphas called me to him again and said a meeting had been arranged and he wanted me to go and make sure everything went okay.
So, were you being sent to arrest Jesus?
I suppose so. We went over the garden and one of Jesus' disciples, Judas I think his name was. Anyway, as soon as we got to the garden, Judas went up to Jesus and kissed him on the cheek. It must have been some kind of signal because the guard immediately rushed in, started trying to arrest Jesus, and the disciples, they didn't want any of that, so they started fighting back, and all chaos broke out.
So, was that when you were injured?
Yes. I went in because Caiaphas put me in charge, and I thought, I better sort this out. And as I went in, I saw something come towards the side of my head, and suddenly a pain like nothing I've ever felt before.
And what had happened?
The pain was so much I collapsed to my knees. I put my hand to the side of my head. I realised that my ear had been cut off.
But clearly you've been healed now. How do you explain that?
Well, it's strange. And the next thing I remember, this guy Jesus is now in front of me. And he's looking into my eyes. And the pain, it kind of subsides, starts to go away slightly. And he reached up his left hand, puts it on my ear, and suddenly all the pain's gone, like it's never been there.
So Jesus had actually healed you?
I suppose so. Anyway, at that point, the guards grabbed him and started trying to drag him away. As he left, he said the strangest thing. He said, "Why have you come for me now with swords and cudgels, when I've been in the temple all week?" And he's right. I've been there with him in the temple. We could have arrested him whenever we wanted to, but we didn't. So why? And tonight, why did Jesus go so calmly, without putting up a fight, like he knew it was going to happen? I don't understand it. Why would he do these things? For us? For himself?
Well, thank you for all good questions there. Clearly Marcus has had a great shock, and as you can see, there's no one else left in the garden tonight. Oh, hang on, someone else is returning to the scene. Excuse me, can I just get a quick interview with you? What's your name?
Mark.
And what are you doing here this evening? Well, my mum's going to kill me now because she thinks I'm tucked up in bed and she's going to see me on the television. Oh, well, what are you doing here then? Well, it started a few days ago when I came to watch Jesus come to Jerusalem on a donkey. And I watched him preach all week. And I also saw when he turned over the tables in the temple. It's quite scary. So what made you sneak out tonight? Well, an amazing thing happened. Some of Jesus' men asked my father if they could have a meal at our house. So of course he said yes, why wouldn't you? And did you actually get to eat the meal with Jesus? Well, no. I was really disappointed. But I crept down once. But my mother caught me and clipped me around the ear. It still hurts now. So you didn't get to see Jesus while he was at your hand? Well, I crept down another time, a bit later on. And my mother didn't catch me, so I hid behind the wine jars in the room. And what did you see? Well, obviously they're having a good time and having a really special meal. Then one of them crept away and it was quiet after that. And so, how did you end up here? Well, I followed them to this garden when they all left my house. I didn't have enough time to get my outdoor clothes on, so I had to stay in my nightshirt. And then I stayed with some of Jesus' men. They didn't shoot me away, so I moved a bit closer. So you were actually here when the guards came to arrest Jesus? Well, yeah, and it was really scary. One of them grabbed me by my nightshirt. So how did you get away? Well, there's only one way, really. I had to slip out and run as fast as I could, as naked as the day I was born. Right, so that's presumably why you borrowed this robe. Yes. Well, perhaps you better get off home now and get that robe back to its owner. Okay, thank you, Mark. Well, there we have another account of the violence that occurred here earlier this evening. And now we can go over to Nicola, who's in the temple grounds, where Jesus has been taken for questioning by Annas and the high priest Caiaphas.
You join me here in the inner courtyard of the temple, where some time ago the guards led in a very dishevelled and desperate-looking Jesus. He'd been taunted and beaten when he wouldn't do as they wished, and as we speak he's been interviewed by Annas, and we're hoping to get a statement regarding the outcome of that interview. I can see Annas approaching.
I have today had the opportunity to interview the man known as Jesus of Galilee. He was brought before me to answer certain charges, namely that of proclaiming himself to be the Christ or Messiah, and of inciting the masses to revolt against our authority and that of the Romans. To the question, are you the Christ? Jesus' direct response was, if I tell you, you would not believe my answer. This, I believe, is a frank admission that he does indeed believe himself to be the Messiah and is therefore guilty of all charges. I firmly believe that Jesus is a danger to himself and to all those with whom he comes into contact and should be dealt with in the strictest possible manner. I have no more comments to make at this moment. Thank you.
Can I ask you what's to happen now?
Well, as we speak, Jesus is being interviewed by Caiaphas, the current high priest. He is, as you may or may not know, my son-in-law, and I am confident that he will find, as I have found, and make the same recommendations to the Sanhedrin who are due to meet at dawn tomorrow.
What is that likely to be?
At this point, I think the conclusion to this sorry tale is inevitable. Crucifixion is the only option, I feel. Yes, crucifixion. Thank you.
Well, there we have it. It seems that Jesus has condemned himself out of his own mouth. It's late here, well after midnight, and only a few small groups remain, sitting round fires to keep out the night's chill and to talk and to discuss the events of this evening. Earlier I heard of one man who was confronted as being a member of Jesus' group, but he denied this several times and left. A few of Jesus' supporters remain, perhaps in the hope of seeing him, but it seems unlikely that there can be any positive outcome with the weight of the Sanhedrin stacked against him. It's going to be a bleak night for Jesus, a night perhaps in one sense he wishes were over, but in others, knowing the possible consequences of any decision made by the Sanhedrin, it's a night he wishes would last forever.
to Friday. Today's main story continues to be the arrest and prosecution of Jesus. Late yesterday evening, Jesus of Nazareth was detained in the Garden of Gethsemane, and from there he was taken and interviewed, first by Annas and then by the current high priest Caiaphas. The clear indications overnight was that Jesus was facing the serious charges of religious blasphemy and insurrection, charges that could result in a death penalty being imposed. The Sanhedrin, the allied group of chief priests, scribes and elders, met this morning at dawn to determine the fate of this man. For an update on the current situation, this was reported earlier by our reporter who was outside the courtyard of the temple.
I have to tell you, things look bleak for the Nazarene. As previously reported, the authorities held him overnight, and judging by his condition when he appeared before the Sanhedrin, he was not kindly treated. The Sanhedrin have been informed of the charges laid against Jesus, and have heard various testimonies from individuals. Unfortunately, none of those individuals were prepared to be interviewed on camera. The Sanhedrin has made its decision, though, and released this statement shortly after dawn this morning. We, the assembled Sanhedrin, have heard the available evidence against the man known as Jesus of Nazareth, and have had opportunity to put those charges directly to him. To the charge of, "Are you the Son of God?" Jesus responded, "It is you who say that I am." The Sanhedrin considers that the accused has damned himself with his own words, and Jesus is guilty as charged. As we have no jurisdiction to rule on capital offences such as this, we have now referred the matter to Pontius Pilate for sentencing under Roman law. As I understand it, one of the principal charges that Pilate has to judge on is Jesus' opposition to the payment of taxes to Caesar. It's a tough call for Pilate to make, and one that is eagerly awaited by the assembled masses. Unusually, it was Pilate himself who conducted the interview, and at that time he could find no fault with the man. He considers that as Jesus is from Galilee, King Herod of Judea should deal with him under Jewish law. You may recall that Herod is here in Jerusalem at the moment to celebrate the Passover festival, and Jesus was taken to him. Reports are sketchy of the outcome of that meeting, but as Jesus has been returned to Jerusalem, we can only conclude that it was not a positive outcome. We go over now to our reporter who is with Herod's camp outside the city walls.
I'm joined now by an envoy of King Herod, who was at the meeting between the king and Jesus of Nazareth. Can you tell me more about that meeting?
Indeed, it was a most interesting occasion. I would like you to just picture the scene, if you would, for a moment. There was King Herod in all his finery and glorious attire as a king, fittingly attired. And in comes this Jesus, who many had said was a king too, but he was battered and bleeding.
So Jesus had actually been beaten?
He had indeed. What had happened apparently was that some of the guards had blindfolded him, and they were trying to get him to guess which one of them it was that was hitting him and beating him. But of course, he couldn't do so.
Oh, he wouldn't? And you say he was blindfolded. Did he remain that way through the meeting?
No, we wanted to see this man's eyes, so Herod had the blindfold removed. Incredible eyes. Anyway, we thought that we could have some entertainment from this fellow. We'd heard how he'd performed many miracles and done amazing things, so we thought maybe he could break his own bonds and set himself free. Maybe he'd put some lovely food on our table, or even turn water into wine.
And did he?
No, very disappointing. Of course, he couldn't, or he wouldn't.
And how did Herod react to this?
Well, Herod and the rest of us were pretty disappointed. We thought that this would have whiled away a few hours before the Passover for us. And so then Herod had another idea, another way in which we could just entertain ourselves. You see, Jesus had been brought in by members of the Sanhedrin. It was pretty obvious that they wanted rid of this Jesus. And so we thought that perhaps if they could accuse Jesus, saying, "Are you the Son of God? Are you the Christ?" And Jesus would get respond and sparks would fly. That would be great sport for all of us then.
And did sparks fly?
Not a one. Jesus didn't say a word. Couldn't. Or wouldn't.
So surely Herod was getting quite frustrated by him.
Yes, indeed, all of us again were quite frustrated, the Sanhedrin as well. And then Herod is no fool, is my boss. He realised what was going on. Pilate was wanting him to take the fall for whatever was about to happen to this man Jesus. I mean, it was obvious the Sanhedrin wanted him dead. In fact, it would suit Herod's purpose if he was dead too, with all these claims that Jesus was a king. But he was not going to be the one to make that decision. And the Romans are always telling us, of course, that they're the ones who are in charge around here. And so Herod sent it back to Pilate.
And did this at least get a reaction from Jesus?
No, not at all. He stood there with those amazing eyes. Everybody around him, agitated, angry, frustrated, disappointed, all sorts of emotions. And he stood there, those steady, serene eyes. His bearing was almost regal. He didn't say a word. He couldn't, or he wouldn't.
Well, thank you. And there we have it. We know that Jesus was referred back to Pilate for sentencing. And now we can go back to Lydia for a further update. An announcement has just been made by the office of Pontius Pilate that having Jesus returned to him by Herod, Pilate has considered the matter further. He understands the feelings and concerns of the Sanhedrin, but can find no fault with the man. In an effort to appease the elders, he has ordered that Jesus be flogged. It's a custom of Pilate's to release a prisoner to coincide with the Passover festival, and as Jesus is obviously having a great deal of difficulty acceding to the wishes of the high priest, this may be a convenient way of saving face. I want to get a current view on the situation from some of those that are here. Can I ask you, are you in favour of Jesus, or do you think he's gone too far?
No, he's gone too far. All the business in the temple. He must be stopped, and by any means necessary.
And you?
Completely disagree. Of course Jesus hasn't gone too far. Is anyone else that's gone too far? He should be freed immediately.
Well, I think you can get a feeling for the diversity of opinion that we have here. There doesn't seem to be much support for Jesus, and I get the impression that this crowd is one that's been whipped up in support of the Sanhedrin. As you can see, talking to the crowd, many do think that he has gone too far, and that
Who deserves
Just a man.
After the amazing natural phenomenon of Friday, when an unexpected eclipse coincided with the violent earthquakes that shook the region and even split the temple curtain in two, the Sabbath passed quietly, as is always the case. The following footage was picked up by security cameras positioned outside the temple, which were remarkably undamaged by the violent effects of the day before.
Where did it all go wrong?
Sunday morning, and rumours abound around the missing body of Jesus. The body, having been cut from the cross, was buried in a tomb provided by local sympathiser Joseph. The Jewish leaders, afraid that his supporters would tamper with the body, insisted that the tomb be guarded at all costs. Now it seems that despite their fears, the body has gone missing. Over now to our on-the-spot reporter, who has with her a member of the Roman Guard.
I'm joined by the leader of the Roman Guard. Tell me, you've been here since the body was interred on Friday, is that correct?
That is correct. We were given the job of guarding the tomb, and that's what we've done.
Yet now there are claims that the body is no longer there.
That is correct.
Well, how do you account for that?
Well, it's complicated.
Complicated in what way?
Look, I can't say too much. I'm in enough trouble anyway. I'll probably end up getting flogged as it is.
Why would you be flogged if you've done nothing wrong?
Well, you see, the High Command, they don't want to face the truth.
And what is the truth? Perhaps you should voice this now, get your side of things into the public domain.
Perhaps you're right. It's time somebody spoke out, said what was really going on. Besides, I'll be damned if I do and I'll be damned if I don't.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
It all started a few weeks ago. This chap, Jesus, started going around Jerusalem preaching. Well, we in the High Command thought he might be a bit of a troublemaker, a bit of a revolutionary. My centurion, he said to me, is go down there, listen to what the guy's saying, and keep the peace, so to speak. Thousands to listen to him talking about his father. And I've got to say, there wasn't as much as a pickpocket offence. I mean, this guy, he could really handle a crowd, no doubt about that. And it was fascinating. His talk of love thy neighbour, forgiveness of our sins, a new and better life. I mean, he cared about everybody. I mean, personally, he really did.
And so what happened then?
Next time I see him, I'm on guard outside the governor's palace. Jesus has been arrested by the priests and sent down to Pilate for questioning. I mean, there's a big crowd, I could say, lots of pushing and shoving going on. Well, Pilate soon realises that, it's just a load of trumped-up charges. He says, let this guy go, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. Well, the crowd, more realistically, the priests, they were having none of that. I mean, they wanted a death penalty. So, Pilate, he offers up Jesus instead of Barabbas.
Yes, we have covered Barabbas in an earlier bulletin.
Yeah, well, Pilate is not a happy chap at all. And, I mean, there and then, in front of the crowd, the priests, everybody, he gets a bowl of water and he starts washing his hands. I mean, it's so symbolic, but I mean, we all know what the guy was trying to say.
And what did you think he meant by that?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? He didn't want the blood of this innocent man on his hands, right? So, he made a symbolic gesture. Jesus is condemned, and Barabbas is set free.
And I understand that Jesus was badly beaten.
Oh yeah, he really was. I tell you what, in my time in the guard, I've seen some sights, I can tell you, but never as the sight of such innocent blood sitting. What they did to that man, he couldn't even carry his own cross up that hill.
So how did they get across the hill?
Oh, we got some more blood goats in the crowd, didn't we? I tell you now, they say all men die the same. Not me, not now, not after this. That guy's words, as we hoisted him up on that cross.
Could you tell us what they were?
I'll never forget them as long as I live. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they are doing. Can you imagine that? There we were crucifying him. And he was forgiving us. Couldn't get my head around that one, I can tell you.
And what about afterwards?
Well, after it was dead, you mean?
Yes, what then?
Well, as I said, we were given the job of guarding that tomb. That's exactly what we did. That tomb was sealed, nobody went in, no one came out. We didn't fall asleep and we didn't get drunk. As I said to you before, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't.
I'm sorry, I still don't follow.
Look, if we say we fell asleep, we're going to be damned. But we didn't. We're going to be damned anyway because there's no body. We can't explain it, we can't say what happened. All I can say is, he disappeared.
Well, thank you very much. That's a very open and frank account. Thank you.
If you say anything at the end of it, I'll tell you now.
Thank you. And now I believe we have the girl who discovered the tomb empty. Mary, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I came to prepare the body, but he'd gone. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do.
I'm sorry, what he said he was going to do?
He said that the death would have no domain over him, and he was right.
And I don't really follow.
Well, he said that he would die, but then on the third day he would come back, and today's the third day.
Well, are we getting a little carried away? All we have at the moment is the missing body.
No, you don't understand. I've seen him and